Okinawa, or the old name Ryukyu, has a very long relationship with my country and perhaps the Malay archipelago or Southeast Asia. During Ryukyu government in 1429, King Shoshi has sent many ships up until 1511, at least 20 ships to Malacca. And so we have a very long history with Okinawa and Okinawan people. So, but unfortunately, not many of us are aware about the history and what happened in Okinawa, especially during World War II. So I can say that this trip, this journey to Okinawa, has really actually moved me, and it's a life-changing trip, a life-changing journey, where we actually see and listen, we touch, I mean, all our senses, yeah, and we feel the pain of Okinawan people.
I'm very impressing when I visit Okinawa, especially from my perspective as a filmmaker, painter, and singer also, because I found the big painting of Muraki Toshi and Iri in the museum of Sakami Museum. I found the real imagination from the artist, from the tale of the painful feelings of Okinawa people's story, especially from Ryukyu people's story. This is remembering me when I found in my society in Indonesia also, because after Second World War, Indonesia became an independent country, and we are struggling to maintain the independence from Sukarno era, Suharto era until reform after 1998 era. So we are also samely with Okinawan people. We are ASEAN. We are in the struggle together for the better future.
To me, artists, in my context, writers, we don't own ourselves. Actually, society owns us, and we don't have being, because we are actually just part of the oppressed, part of people who are actually demanding us or ask us to represent them in order to voice their issue or their voice or their cause. So we are the future. We are the people. That's why being a serious artist, a serious writer, is something not easy. It's a role. It's a responsibility. And I believe so. And you know, I've been brought up reading serious work, serious, responsible, contributing works. For example, from Japan, I've been raised reading Kenzaburo Oe's work, and it happens that when I went to Okinawa, I realized that he wrote Okinawa notes. And similarly, that I'm now being very moved by this trip to Okinawa, I've started to write my own notes on Okinawa. So this is, I think, the role that we're playing. For example, this novel, How Anis Went to Heaven, this is about the rights of indigenous people in Sarawak, Malaysia. So how their land are confiscated, and how deforestation and how systematic rape against them have been committed by certain entities. So they are unknown to people, just the Okinawan people. They have been doing blockade for almost 20, 30 years. And who are going to represent them? They are small in numbers, but they are consistently doing this blockade and protesting the authorities and the loggers. So I believe so, that the role of an artist, the role of a writer is to bring them to the center. So they're not the marginalized, they're not just footnotes, they should be in the middle of the text.
I'm very concerned in the arts and cultural movement, you know, from I'm younger. I'm now I'm 40 old years, so I'm graduate from film school. When I began study in film school, my lecturer taught me about the history of world cinema. So in the history of world cinema, I found the impact of the film to the society. So also my teacher in my campus taught me about the function of the cinema. For example, in my head on always recorded when I found a books and I read the books about Bolshevik Revolution cinema. In 1920s era, Lenin said, Frederick Ilyich Lenin said, the most important of all arts is cinema. So this is aware me, what happened with cinema? This is a fact, first my reason to using art and culture, because I'm not politician. So I just want to make a film, painting, for good painting like Maruki Toshi. Art as witness, art become witness to spreading awareness to the people in the world, heeding the conflict, heeding the crisis of humanity, something like that, you know. I'm also very active in 1998 student movement in Jakarta, and I got the relationship with the student movement around of Indonesia. So we are we are struggling and we are fought for democratization in Indonesia with cinema. So we are bringing the projector and come to the people, go to the communities and society, screening the film and discussing the film. This is like a third cinema in Latin America, or yeah, in the many places in the world, you know. People showing the film, discuss, and something like that. So I believe in the root of culture and in the root of art, we can inspiring people in the world become better, be better. Yeah.
Hybrid democracy is what I call fake democracy or a false democracy. It seems that we have democracy, but the components of democracy does not exist. It's missing. For example, human rights is a component of democracy. The majority need to protect the minority. It's a component and aspects of democracy. And then free press, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, respecting the minorities' right, whether they are sexual minorities or they are religious minorities. These are, among others, component of democracy. Other than that, the hybrid democracy or false democracy pretend that they have a democracy, a healthy democracy with rigged election, meaning that the election, the opposition, however, cannot win the election because it's been arranged somehow by the establishment. For example, we have this year an election that falls on Wednesday. It's purposely, deliberately chosen the Wednesday to be voting day to discourage voters to go out to vote. However, the Malaysian voters have despised this and protest this, And during the 9th May of election, we have overcome the hybrid democracy, and we're trying to restore a reformed democracy. So this is a new phenomena, and my talk tonight will try to address how Malaysian people has managed to do this, to topple or to oust, to reject hybrid democracy, and chose to protect democracy, the healthy and the reformed democracy.
In Okinawa, I'm very happy because in the cinema rooms, in their full house, people come to my film screening. So people criticize my film, you know. But this is very interesting for me, or for Faisal also as Malaysian, and me from Indonesia, because we are meeting with the people who do know about Islam, and sometimes they do know about Indonesia or Malaysia for detail, you know. So we must explaining about Islam in Indonesia also. I'm filmmaker, I'm not cleric, but I must explaining about Islam. This is very interesting for me. So I try to explaining about how Islam blend with the tradition in Indonesia and Indonesian people from the past time. So through film or through cinema, I want to learning together with international society to understanding Islam, or to understanding the religion, because religion never taught the people become terrorists. But some people, the part of people who believe in violence, and they don't have space in the democracy, and they cannot survive in the relationship, international relationship, and they are deviants in the international society. They're using violence and using also religion become weapon. So I just want to create something new in the perspective of both perspective, world perspective, with arts, with cultural perspective, with cinema.
Islam has need to coexist with other faith, with other way of thinking, with Buddhism, with Taoism, Shintoism, with Christianity, yeah, with Judaism. So this is the thing that being emphasized in Islam, in Prophet Muhammad's doctrines or teachings. However, Islam is a very old religion, and there are certain people who hijack this religion in order for themselves. For instance, Wahhabi Islam, being founded in Saudi Arabia, does not respect other faith. The Shias, for example, there are other Islam. I mean, Islam is not just one Islam that have been presented in Saudi Arabia. There are also many kinds of Islam, like in Iran, the Shias, or in Lebanon, or in Pakistan. But also our kind of Islam, Islam Nusantara, our region, our Malay world, which is actually very syncretized with folklore, yeah, with local traditions. So our Islam is very different. There are also mystical Islam, like Sufi Islam. But what we have is the Wahhabi Islam that being infected by young people, by many people, like zombie eating each other, is they believe that only they themselves has rights to exist. These people, with this one belief that they themselves only have this right to practice Islam, has been terrorizing other communities or other states for so many years. And this is why we need to bring together people from Islam and identify people within Islam who can be fellow counterpart to overcome this issue. I think one of the impressive action or act done by Sasakawa Peace Foundation is connecting people, connecting me and Rudy, Daniel, and we were having dinner this in Okinawa back then, a few days ago, and this Rudy's friend, a documentary filmmaker from Okinawa, who's actually has this intention to make a documentary, a film about Okinawan migrating to other countries, Brazil, to Latin America, to Peru. So he was actually doing a lot of research and being met with a block because he doesn't know where to get the data whatsoever. But suddenly appear during the dinner, Baru Museum director, who is actually been doing a lot of research and have a lot of data and numbers and documents on Okinawans migrating to the Latin America. So suddenly they met during our dinner to welcome us. So I saw this many instances, many times, that Sasakawa Peace Foundation has been connecting a lot of people, many people, who's actually doing good works in society. I believe that this is what we really need. And because of that, I really, really respect Sasakawa Peace Foundation.
The Sasakawa Peace Foundation connecting the people. So especially we are the ASEAN. So we are ASEAN, and we have a world of sad and happy stories. This is like a treasure for ASEAN. The sad and happy story, post-colonialism story, something like that. So we enter a new century of the modernity saturation. So we have a solution to this problem, actually, because I believe in the way of culture, in the way of arts. So back to our ancestral message and combining with our experiences as modern people. So rebuild the beauty of culture and celebrating life, because I'm aware the world not built by weapon or built by war. The world built by culture.